Hi there, getting ready for week 7. Thank you all for your submissions to the month 1 survey. I've read through the results, and as I go through my conversation with you today, I'll address some of the things that you brought up. So I just wanted to start off by acknowledging some of the questions that I've received around the assignment that's due on Tuesday. And I understand that some of you have got yourself into that place where you're thinking, there's so many theories, how can I possibly pick something that will work for the scenario that I've chosen? And I want to say that I agree. You've been given a huge amount of content to select from and then told to select even deeper or further if you wish. So let's go back to grounding you in a couple of the documents that I think are very helpful. And one of the documents is in week 5, and it's the table of variations between the 5 theories in social work. So if you look at that and you think about your scenario, it's going to help ground you in what you really want to look at. And I'm going to just quickly look at the area of learning theories and think back to Nick, who was the scenario that was presented in the previous unit. And so what I suggested, and that was with the quiz that you did. What I suggested was that this looked like a behavioral situation where he needed and wanted to make some changes. So it would fall under the learning theory. And so it does mean that the social worker in this role has a very large amount of power in the relationship because you actually are working in a process like CBT or strengths based, which really you take the lead in, and hopefully you've had a good relationship with the person like Nick to establish what's most important to him. And so if you look at the scenarios that have been laid out for the first theory paper, then you're going to be able to say what is the overarching thing that needs to be accomplished in this. And looking on the view of society at the very bottom of the table in Unit 5, you're going to see those things. Is this about solving internal conflict, creating harmony, um, resolving larger structural conflicts, or looking at systems and what's going on within the system? So just go back to that. I think it'll help ground you. And then there's also the other handout that's on the different levels of theories: micro, macro, and meso theories, and that may help you a bit as well, although you have to note on that handout that it does talk about orienting in explanatory theories and practice theories and models. So you need to be pretty clear what your overall intention is to begin with, and then use that as a background to help you talk about what you're going to do during your interaction. I think that yes, this is a tricky assignment to be doing at this stage, and so I want you to feel fairly comfortable that what I'm looking for is that you've given it a good shot. So I don't expect it to be exhaustive. I expect you to take a couple of components of the theory and really apply them to the case and to the best of your ability. This is early on in the term, and we're going to be moving now into much more of the process. So we've sort of just touched on theory, and you can see right now, if you're feeling uncomfortable or kind of shaky about it, how tricky it is to work from a purely theoretical approach. So this week 7 that we're coming into, is the beginning of building up for the second assignment, which is a case review. And so it's very helpful for you to print off the assignment guidelines, the case review guidelines, right away now, and start and look through how it's laid out, because the very first stage is you're going to decide on a theory that you're going to use. So as you're working through this particular theory assignment, think about how you would go about it to add it into a case review. The part about the case review that I think is a little bit tricky is that you will have a choice. You have a choice of doing something from your practicum or from your own experiences, or you can ask to be assigned a case review. And I think that what I'll do is I'll do a survey after you come back from your reading break, which is not next week, but the week after. And that survey will be to let me know what you want to do, if you want to use your own. And if that's the case, then I'm going to ask you to give me a brief outline, 3 sentences, talking a little bit about what it is. And if not, then I'm going to draft some scenarios that you can use. And the reason I want to get you doing that now is because as we go through the week 7 through 11, you are going to be able to actually do the work on the piece of the assignment as you go along, and it's going to make more sense to you. So if you, through the theoretical pieces, have found something that feels like a good fit, a number of you are very interested and thoughtful around person-centered. This coming week, you're going to look at biopsychosocial, which is the one that I like the best. And that's the one that informs my practice on the most frequent level. I always start with biopsychosocial, so I'm interested to hear what you're going to have to say about that. And then you're going to be able to look at other theories that and assessment approaches that you're going to be using, and you're going to be able to take notes on those things and keep a running list of what you think will fit your scenario. So it's really important to know what that scenario is really quickly. So we'll have the scenarios nailed down by week 9. And if you have one in mind right now, even if I haven't approved it, I would like you to start working on that, and then when we talk, when you give me your suggestions, then I can give you a little bit more feedback. But I won't ask you if you've got a scenario and it's viable. I'll work with you to make it fit better. And so definitely go away and think about what kind of a scenario you would like to tackle, and it very well could be something that's in your practice right now, so you may even want to talk to your supervisor about that. So weeks 7 through 11 really follow along with the case review assignments. So we're going to be looking at these specific places. So we've looked at engagement and the importance of engagement in the social work process. I like to use the term contracting because I think this is the time when you talk about if you have a mandate, what that mandate is, if you have limitations on what you can do, how you let a person know that, and if the person has expectations of you, they should be talking about what those are up front, so that you know if what you do and what the person thinks you can do match. And often there's a discord there. So please think about that. And engagement isn't just hi, how are you, and what can I do for you? It's a really, here we are, 2 people, we're sitting here, what are your priorities, and how close can I come, what ways can I, what theories, what assessments, etc. can I use to make that happen. So again, the assignment is due on March 31st, and so we're going to be working together on this, and it will be really interesting because if you have something in mind as you go through, it's going to make more sense to you. There is a February 21st Zoom session, and I noted that some of you said you would like to have a session at a different time. So I'm really interested if you would like to have a Zoom session earlier in the day or later in the evening. Either one is fine with me. I can do 2 in one day. I set the 5:30 one because there were some students that were very specific about that time fitting in best for them, but I'm happy to do a couple of sessions. So just send me an email if you would like to do a Zoom session at a different time, and then I'll start a dialogue about that. And I just want to call out to Marin. Thank you very much, Marin, for answering the multiple questions we had on how to find the responses to the quiz. So Marin sent me an email telling me how they got into the responses, and it's through the Learner Management Class Progress. Click on your name, and then you go to quizzes, and it's there. You just have to follow the arrows. So I'm going to type that out and put that up in my information. And I'm thinking that this week coming up, it's going to be really pretty interesting because you're going to be working on assessments, and I think that it will add to your understanding of what you have to do for the case review assignment. And then all the time we're working through this, be thinking about your own framework of practice, which is the final assignment. So they're due pretty close together. One of them is March 31st, and the final assignment is due, I believe, on April 19th. So you have about 2.5 weeks after you've done your case review, and just draw what you can from each of these assignments, what has had meaning for you, what felt good, and carry it forward. So they all do nest into each other eventually, and you'll feel more comfortable with it. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and hope that you enjoy this week. And I know that you'll be looking forward to having a reading break to catch your breath. So it'll be good to get the assignment finished. And I usually try and get the marking done within 10 days of receiving the assignment, and it just depends on how in-depth the assignments are. But you can take a look at the rubric and see what I'm going to be grading things on. And please feel very comfortable that if you've made an effort to apply the theory to the practice, that is going to be sufficient. I'm not expecting it to be fully social work, functional theory application. And as I've said to many of you on the telephone, I have and draw on multiple theories depending on where the conversation, that first engagement, starts with someone. So when I am meeting someone for the first time, I'm spending a lot of time listening to what they're saying to me and asking questions that are going to help me decide if there is a theory, if there is a perspective that I want to start from. So I look forward to reading your conversations as I have this week around the application of the information within the unit. Have a great week, and I'll see you online.